Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for being here this morning.
Thanks, Maria.
Where are we on security at the border?
Well, the border is wide open. The president and Secretary Mayorkas have basically abandoned it. In fact, they've implemented a strategy to get more people into the country. It's absolutely insane. Mayorkas has actually ordered in a memorandum that he signed his own officials to disregard the laws of the United States Congress. And so we, of course, voted in committee just a couple of nights ago to hold him accountable, to impeach him. And we're now working with the leader to get those scheduled for the floor.
So when will that take place? Do you expect you'll have the votes on the floor?
Well, the two-part question. So date, I think, will be sometime next week, but that's really the responsibility of the leader. I'm going to let him announce when all that's going to happen. He schedules the floor. In terms of the votes, we're still working with a few key individuals, but I am confident that we will get this done.
Does it die in the Senate?
So that's the $1,000 question, everybody, $1 million question. Everybody keeps asking me, why would we do this if there's a chance that it's going to die in the Senate? And I believe it probably will. I think it sounds like everybody's drawing the lines along party and not along the safety of the country. But that really doesn't mean anything to me other than I've got to do my duty. My duty is to the people of Tennessee. My duty is to the people of America and the national security of this country. I've been in the military for 24 years. That's been my entire life. And so I'm going to do what is my duty, and that is impeach this guy, because what he's doing is basically disregarding a co-equal branch of government. He took an oath to the Constitution of the United States. That Constitution is very clear. We write the laws, and they are to execute them. And there are many, many precedents in the past history of the country for Congress to stand up for its constitutional authority, and we're doing that.
I mean, Mr. Chairman, obviously this is a serious dereliction of duty. This has become a national security threat. We've got terrorists, would-be terrorists coming in. We've got fentanyl coming in. President Trump commented on the Senate border deal after meeting with the Teamsters Union in Washington yesterday. Trump said he did not need a bill to secure the border when he was in charge. Watch this.
You don't need a deal to tighten up the border and to make it secure. I had the most secure border in history. I didn't have a deal. I didn't have a bill. I said, no people are coming in. No drugs are coming in. We don't want to have human trafficking, which nobody even talks about. That is the number one. You take a look at that border today. Human trafficking is up 114%.
It's just stunning, Congressman. And, yesterday we all heard from Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI. And I have a question about that, because he said that the Chinese Communist Party are right now efforting getting our infrastructure tangled up, whether it's water infrastructure or the grid, the electrical grid, across the board, that there are efforts right now from Chinese hackers. My question to you is, how many of those people who are doing all of this sabotage are in the country because they came through the open border?
Yeah, so it's fascinating, Maria. In the history of tracking these numbers, the highest year ever for Chinese nationals coming into the United States was about 1,800. Last year, 28,000, many of whom are military-aged males, and some with ties to the PLA have come into our country. We have no idea what they're now doing. They've been released into the country. We do know that Chinese tourists, as they are called, have stormed the gates of military installations. We caught divers actually looking at some sensitive infrastructure stuff off in Florida. This is going on. And the Chinese, you don't leave China. I mean, they have the credit score, the social credit score. You don't get on an airplane in China without the Chinese government knowing about it. They fly to El Salvador, and then they trek across Central America into the United States. This has to be a concerted effort of the Chinese, and part of their bigger strategy to become the hegemon of the world.
I mean, 28,000 last year, 1,800 so far this year. Are they building a little army in the United States?
Well, there's no way to really know, but if you look at what Russia did in Ukraine, they had basically migrants come into the country. We called them the little green men, and then they became the saboteurs when, the invasion occurred. Now, that's not to say that we're going to go to war with China, but if we defend Taiwan, I mean, and we're moving, say, military troops or supplies from Tennessee to the coast to put on a ship and head for the defense of Taiwan. Disruption is certainly something that could happen. I mean, we, as a military person, as a national security person, we have to be thinking about that. And what happened? 28,000 over the highest number ever before, 1,800. Something's going on. And here's Director Wray saying the threat is real. And he was specifically talking about the cyber threat in that briefing you're citing, but it's also a physical threat.
Unbelievable. Meanwhile, we see it up close and personal. New York Governor Kathy Hochul claims deporting illegal immigrants who viciously attacked New York City police officers in Times Square over the weekend is something that, quote, should be looked at. All 5 of the migrants were released without bail. One migrant actually gave the middle finger to the cameras as he was leaving court. This guy should be on a plane back to his country right now. Why are we so dumb?
You know, I don't understand it. I guess my best guess would be that Democrats just don't understand the difference between a good person and a bad person. I mean, they want to street violent criminals. They want to welcome these criminal aliens into the United States. Meanwhile, you know, they do a deal with Iran. They give $6 billion to Iran, take the Houthis off the terrorist watch list. Thank God that's been fixed. But, I mean, they just don't get who the bad guy is, who the good guy is. Defund ICE. Remember that mantra. They have no concept of who the right person is and who the wrong person is.
This is really a disturbing conversation. Congressman, we so appreciate your leadership on this. We'll be watching your work. Thank you, sir.